Go Broke. That's the name of the game today. We are taking a look at Disney and Netflix and, well, the repercussions of bad management. It's a good way to put it. Hope everybody had a fabulous 20th of April. I may or may not still be recovering from mine. Miss Monica, how are you doing today?
Well, happy holiday and
Holiday.
heading into Friday Eve. Super, super
Oh,
excited
yeah.
to discuss the changes at Disney and Netflix that I think are coming.
And not just that. Disney, they actually started off okay in this whole saga. Of course, as you know, we've been talking about it. Everyone's been talking about the Parental Rights and Education Bill. Fabulous bill. Doesn't go nearly far enough, but a good start. However, Disney started out the right way. They started out by saying, we're not getting involved. We're not making a statement. And then, unfortunately, certain elements of their employee base, they rose up and said, we demand that you come out against it. Disney bent the knee. They came out and said not only were they coming out against it, but that they were going to actively work to get it removed. And, well,
Yes.
Florida responded, which, let's look at this first article. Oh, you love to see it.
Well, hold on. Before we even get
sure,
into
sure.
what's like currently happening with Disney, you and I have been discussing Disney for the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
And I believe Gina Carano was one of the big contributing factors.
Yeah, that was actually, we said it before, but that's why we canceled Disney Plus.
Yes.
They fired Gina Carano. We fired them.
And then the mismanaging and handling of the Star Wars movies.
Oh,
They
boy.
had so much promise there. And
Look at
really,
Phase 4 too of Marvel. I mean, it's the true colors show with this whole get woke or go broke nonsense.
Yep.
I
And
mean,
you and I discussed that during
yeah.
the Thor trailer review.
Yes, exactly. Like,
So-
we were very worried about it.
And we thought that well, when you talk about Disney, you know the names and the management and
Oh,
all
somewhat. I
of
mean,
the-
Marvel especially is very famous with like Kevin Feige and all that because he really is one of a kind. But I was also going to say, don't forget about those leaked Zoom calls where the producer said not only were they pro Alphabet people, but they were going to jam that everywhere they could.
Yes. See, and that's just not, they're not listening to the demographic who's actually spending money at the parks.
No,
And
they're just pushing, ramming their ideals
Yes.
into every aspect they
and now
can.
the idea that you take your kids to Disney expecting a certain type of experience, and part of that was that they would be greeted as princess and prince when they entered the park, and
Exactly. It was a kid's
it's-
royalty. You
well,
know?
and it's supposed to be almost like this one of a kind experience when you're a child, to be completely immersed in this imaginary world
magical
where,
kingdom.
and when we went,
Yeah.
granted Gabe was fairly new.
It was a couple years ago,
yeah.
so he was 2 or 3 at the time.
Yeah, it was three years ago, I think.
Yep. So then he would have been 3.
And I was really impressed. Like, and it takes a lot to impress me in the idea of like scavenger hunts and hidden things about, all
Oh
of
yeah, the level of interaction there,
Yes.
the immersement. I mean, it's
the attention to detail.
really sad that we are kind of. I mean, okay, how do I put this? It is important to celebrate cultural victories. It's important
Yes.
to push back, but we're allowed to mourn the losses. And it is sad that we
Yes.
are happy about this happening. But I mean, at the end of the day, Disney, you get what you effing deserve.
Yes, because I mean, you really have set yourself up for this because you were put on a pedestal to create.
Exactly.
And you gave everybody what they wanted, and then you started veering into politics.
Went to your head, which is weird because Disney's been around forever, but that is the rot that's infested everything right now.
Yes.
It's this woke worm that's gotten into people's brains, and now it's all gone to chaos.
And I'm really hoping, I was really hoping that with the most recent change in leadership, because
Yeah, Bob Chapek.
yeah, and we talked about it before he even took over, is
Yeah.
that okay? He's going to bring it back more center. We were really rooting, and then they just completely fall on their face.
Well,
the
yeah.
first time he's faced with any type of opposition to
Well,
this.
again, I don't blame Chapek for this. Chapek he's like you said, he's monetarily driven. He thinks of the shareholders. He has stated that he thinks all of this woke crap is just going nowhere, and he wants to steer and course correct and all
Yeah,
that.
he wants to make the money.
He's facing pushback on all directions. I don't blame him for doing what he did. If anything, I think it's very important, just like we're seeing around the country, as painful as it is, it's very important to teach the lesson of, okay, if that's what you think you want, we're going to show you where this path leads.
Yes.
And well, I think he came out and he said, "All right, you know what? I will go ahead and do the apology. You don't think that you think it'll be better once I do it? Let me show you what'll happen." And here
Yeah.
we are.
Well, and now they're in talks of replacing him, from what I heard.
They were in talks of replacing him from day one.
Yeah,
Bob Iger ran a campaign, even though he picked Chapek as his successor. He ran a campaign to get rid of him because Chapek was like, now that I'm king of the castle, we need to start making money again, stop making woke crap. So
Yes.
that was enough. Suddenly they were like, we got to get him out. Iger suddenly said, all right, we got to get him out.
Yeah, which is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they've changed leadership so much. They've gone back and forth on stuff, and they've allowed a very vocal minority
Yes.
to push their agenda, which
The
is
story of the
fine.
country right now, man.
Well, and I get it. There's an array of people out there looking for an array of entertainment.
Absolutely.
But when you take what the minority wants and say, well, the majority of people have to buy into this, otherwise they're racist or sexist
They're
or bigoted or yes, they're all of these things.
All of the above.
They don't realize that when you call your client base names,
Yes.
your client base tends to give you the middle finger.
It's very funny when you continuously poo on the people that give you money. I mean, it's like they stop giving you money. What?
Well, and I don't want to watch stuff like that.
Nope. They thought they owned us.
I don't care if there's people out
Yeah.
there who do.
No.
And I don't care if there's people out there who want to have those conversations with their own kids.
That's their
But it's
job. As parents.
Yes,
that's
that's
literally
the
their
job.
job.
That is the big job that people
Yes.
don't realize is the parent's
That
job.
is the parent's job. It's not the teacher's job. That's not the entertainer's job. That is the parent's job. The entertainer's job is to get on that stage and dance. Dance, monkey. That is your task. I don't care about your opinion. I don't care about your politics. You are paid to get up there and lie and convince me that you are not who you are.
Yes.
That's it. That's all actors, actresses, and entertainers need to worry about. They can keep everything else in their own social bubble.
Well, and if they want to get into politics, great.
Sure.
If they have the backing for it, great.
Sure.
But they don't.
It all depends. It all depends. It all depends. But before we move forward, I'm going to go up and put in my beautiful little button here. Make sure that you are indeed doing the routine of liking, subscribing.
Yes.
If you like what we do, we are primarily on Rumble, where we always love to grow, but we're also on YouTube and other
Check out the Facebook page.
based things.
I've been working on the website, so
Yep.
looking forward to seeing those new pages launch soon.
Slowly but surely, all of it's coming together. And,
Yes.
you know, we are building something here because the most important thing you can do outside of voting with your wallet is contributing, building something. If you want culture to be different, you have to get out there and make it different. Otherwise, you have no right. Well, no, I'm not going to say you have no right to complain because everybody has a right to complain, but don't expect anything to come of it.
Yes, and if you are one of those people who wants to share your opinion, go ahead and give us a like and
Exactly. Just go ahead and
comment below,
Feel free.
or come on the show. We'd love to talk to anybody who has a varying opinion on some of the topics that we cover.
Oh, absolutely. Well, let's bring up this first one from... Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Florida Senate passes bill to strip Disney's self-governing status. The Florida House has to vote on the measure, which would dissolve the special taxing district that allows Disney to operate much like a local government. Oh boy, oh boy. So we went from, we're going to oppose the bill. And this is, you know, I crap on the Republican Party all the time because they are by and large garbage. In fact, Mitch McConnell is actually donating money to Murkowski to get reelected, even though she just flip-flopped on the Supreme Court thing. So clearly they have their priorities. So mainstream GOP garbage. However, Florida is showing you what the Republican Party is capable of. Pushing back. Disney came to them and they made this bold statement about we're going to overturn this law. So what did the Republicans in Florida say? Oh, it's funny. Don't you have some kind of a special exemption that's been in place since like the 60s?
Well, and I heard it great on one of the reports this morning is that Florida has stepped up to remind Disney that you are a guest in our state.
Exactly. It says the Florida Senate passed a bill Wednesday that would dissolve the special taxing district that allows the Walt Disney Company to self-govern in its theme park area. Lawmakers in the Republican-controlled chamber backed the measure in a 23-16 vote. It now requires a vote in the state house before it can go to the desk of Republican government Ron DeSantis, who called on the legislator to support the bill during the special session this week.
Yeah.
The legislation would dismantle Disney's special district on June 1st, 2023. Special status, which was granted by a state law in 1967, allows Disney to self-govern by collecting taxes and providing emergency services. Disney controls about 25,000 acres in the Orlando area, and the district allows the company to build new structures and pay impact fees for such construction without the approval of local planning commission. I'm just going to pause right here. So I did see a quote, and it may be in this article. I don't recall it being here, though, where they were interviewing someone, one of these Republicans, and he said if they wanted to, they could build a nuclear power plant there, and we legally couldn't do a thing about it. He's like, they have way too much power. And so, in your opinion, I'm sure it'll be optimistic, and that's okay. Do you think once the state officials get to come in and actually see what's going on, if this law gets passed, that everything will be up to code, everything will be up to standards?
So the state law went into effect in 1967.
Correct.
And the big part of that was because of the mass amount of acreage that Disney owned.
Yep.
I mean, they went in and bought essentially what was swampland.
Oh, yeah.
You know, area that was not going to be economically feasible for any other company.
Oh, absolutely.
And turned it into something that is its driving culture. You know, it brings a lot of money to Florida.
Of course.
It brings a lot of jobs and a lot of tourist dollars.
Can't let that go to your head, though.
Exactly. And there's the thing. And I can understand from a real estate standpoint in 1967, I can understand bypassing the need for a local planning commission, because Disney would need its own local planning commission because it's a theme park. It's not set up like a residence. It's not set up like a town or any other jurisdiction like that. So there are certain things that it made sense that they would have done that in 1967.
Oh, absolutely. No one's saying that this wasn't at a time understandable or justifiable.
But I think Disney, by saying we're going to go after the government, made the government about face and actually look at them, which they haven't done for a long time.
Nope.
And say, you know what? You're doing what we should be doing.
Yep.
And now that property that you have that's worth so much money.
A lot of money.
We should be doing more hands-on with that.
Yeah. Although when you put it like that, it does kind of make me worry, because as justifiable as that is giving the government more power, which of course I'm adamantly against. However, in this case, if I have to choose between a corporation having a ton of power or the government of the land having that power, it's a tough argument, but unfortunately, I mean, you're on their land. Even local
really
government should have their hands in that pie.
Absolutely. And look what happens even for small businesses when we don't pay attention to them. There's a guy in Detroit who owned a factory. What was the Aaron Brockovich, the chemicals that were in the water? Do you remember what they were called?
I don't know the details now.
But he was.
I only remember two details from that movie.
I know what those are.
I know what they are too.
So it's one of those things where this guy was hexavalent chromium. That's what it's called.
I'll take your word for it.
But it's a cancer-causing thing, and you're supposed to dispose of it in a certain way. Well, in Detroit, this guy who owned this metal company wasn't disposing of it properly. He was actually storing it in his basement. Well, it leaked.
Ooh.
And then started leaching into the ground.
Yeah.
And then started coming out on the roadway. Do you remember when we drove down to see Dad?
I remember.
And they had it all blocked off. It's because
it was oozing out of the walls.
It was oozing out of the walls.
It looked surreal.
So now think of, okay, Disney's been able to do this since 1967. If we now go in there, what problems are we going to see that they were self-governing and trying to come up with solutions? I'm really hoping that there's nothing big. But
I say we were just there a couple years ago. We all seem fine, but I doubt it's going to be anything like catastrophic. That's why I mentioned like certain standards about rides or health standards.
And it's in their best interest to perform at the expected level.
They want to be clean.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like any other large amusement, Michigan Adventure and Kings Island and all of those other places, Cedar Point, Six Flags. Yeah. They are like those places, are regulated.
Oh, absolutely.
Whereas Disney has been able to self-regulate a lot of that.
It is a little odd. Although, like I said, it all goes back to they got broke, they got woke, they're going broke, and they bit the hand that feeds, and unfortunately, it's Well, I guess I shouldn't say unfortunately. People, anyone who you get that black pill moment where you're like, everywhere you look, you see negativity. Everywhere you look, you see it. You look at the mainstream media, they're constantly harping, they're constantly pushing their crazy agendas, and you start to think, is it really a vocal minority or am I a vocal minority? But then you
Yes.
see things like this happen, and it shows you that there is a pushback coming, that you are not the minority, that these things are not the new normal. They are weird. They should be pushed out. And when the pushback comes, it's massive, which actually, it ain't just Disney that's feeling the pain. From the Daily Mail, billionaire investor Bill Ackman pulls $1.1 billion out of Netflix after losing $400 million when share price cratered 35% following exodus of 200,000 customers. And then, of course, HBO gained 3 million subscribers. We actually have also joined the bandwagon. We canceled Netflix as well. Honestly, I should have done it back during the cuties thing, but hey, better late than never. It just, ever since I'm not going to directly blame, but ever since certain members of a certain party joined the board of directors at Netflix, I've noticed the quality has started to decline. Suddenly, agendas were pushed, crazy things culminating just recently with a show about a pregnant man. What was it? I don't even remember the name of it.
I can't even.
It was so dumb.
He's pregnant or something
I guess
like
I should
that.
put man in quotes, obviously, but they have gone crazy off of this agenda, and here is where we are.
Well, and so here's the thing.
Sure.
The loss on Netflix, the things that they've been seeing, and a lot of this is slowly sneaking out, is because they lost more a long time ago than they were willing to admit to.
Oh, is that what you think it is?
Yes. And I think the cuties thing was part of it.
I mean, that was what it started it. That was what started it for a lot of people.
And okay, so you pay the monthly subscription, but they're producing their own content and sinking more money into that production. They're not seeing gains from that.
Really weird. Hold on a second. There was a chart here in this article. If you scroll down, here, I'm going to show you what I'm looking at. So I was bringing up the chart to show where their stocks and things had gone, and it's a little bit down below, but the first thing that's brought up beneath HBO Max and HBO customers skyrocketed by 3 million in the last quarter to 76.8 million. What do you see below that on your screen?
Where are you at?
Just scroll down in the Daily Mail article. Scroll down. The first thing, so if you see the picture of Bill Ackman, it's directly above that.
Yeah.
It says technical charts are powered by investing.com and TradingView. What does it look like for you? Does it look like a bunch of gobbledygook with like a weird invalid symbol on it? Because there was a chart here, but on my screen, I just refreshed the page. It's gone. It's literally gone. It looks like a coding error, or not? Yeah, like a coding or a what's the word I'm looking for? A scripting error.
Oh, I don't know. Refresh it again. See if it happens.
Oh, I just did. Let's see it one more time. Refresh. Yeah, nah, it's gone. It's gone. That's okay. Technical charts are powered by investing.com and TradingView. Hey, keep up the great work. You guys are doing awesome.
This is a wonderful job.
I mean, I was going to show, it says pre-market trading this morning showed the company shares remaining low at $226, spiraling down for $348 on Tuesday afternoon. I'm going to do a shout out to r/Wall Street Bets. There's a gentleman on there who posted his gains. Apparently, Jim Cramer, who is notoriously terrible at predicting things, came out and said, Netflix, buy. So this guy who said, "Oh, Jim Cramer said to buy. I'm gonna put a bunch of put options on it." He turned his $5,000 into over $100,000. So,
jeez.
I mean, this is where we're at right now. If you want to figure out how to make money in the stock market, you look at Nancy Pelosi's portfolio and you do the opposite of what Jim Cramer says, and you will make money.
Well, and you and I have
here's a
been talking
graphic.
about this since last year because when we were looking into the
Look
different
at that
stock markets and
plunge.
stuff,
Yeah.
they're overvalued and have been for quite some time, which is an indicator that we're headed for a crash.
Yeah, I mean,
and
they've
a
been
lot of
spending
people
money
keep
like
saying no.
crazy.
Well, and a lot of these companies, I think, are really truly lying about their profits.
Like the online, the subscription-based one. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I fully agree with it. But this is Netflix we're talking about. They were the original, the OG. Like, they were the first one. And, man, it's crazy to see how far they have fallen from those early days. Because they were, like, the thing. You know, Netflix and chill, Netflix and this, Netflix and that. It's always been the thing. And now, how the mighty have fallen.
Well, and this is the thing. When you get out of the area that you're comfortable in, because Netflix as a streaming company was great. Netflix as a rental company was great. You know, when video stores were actually going out and going under. You know, we had our Blockbusters and our family videos and all that. Remember, Netflix started out by mailing you
Oh,
DVDs.
absolutely. It was great.
Yeah, which
DVDs
was...
and games. And oh, yeah, it was awesome. And then
And
you
keep
get
them
like
as long
2 a
as you
month.
want that month.
Yep, and you
and
just
then
mail them back.
they
It was,
added
oh,
all kinds of
fabulous.
stuff. Yeah, and it got better and better.
The
But
original Redbox.
then, like you said, it was really when they decided, instead of being a business, they were going to have an opinion.
Yep, instead of entertainment, it was politics.
Yep.
And unfortunately, if you're going to choose to go entertainment, you got to stick entertainment. Now, it's okay to make a comment every now and again. We are notorious for quoting Knives Out. And pretty much all comedies of old, it's okay to take jabs. Just try to make sure you don't have agenda-fueled jabs. Jab at everybody.
Well,
Because then everybody can laugh. And that's what it should be.
and everybody, like, we need to learn to laugh at ourselves as a society. Like, you and
Yeah.
I watched Men in Tights last night.
Robin Hood, Men in Tights. Fantastic movie. Watch it anytime.
Dave
It's a
Chappelle's
riot.
baby face.
Oh, Carrie Elwes. Oh, all of their baby faces.
All of the feels right there.
Oh, so good.
But it was back when people were funny.
Yeah.
And people have stopped being funny because none of them have learned how to take a joke.
I was going to say, yeah, if you can't make fun of anybody, then nothing is funny.
Yes.
You can't just you can't just go Orange Man bad forever.
Well, and it's not even Orange Man bad.
I'm just talking about the last 7 years. Has literally all comedy that's mainstream, quote unquote, has been, if it's allowed to be mainstream, it's Orange Man bad. You have little sneakers that come through like Dave Chappelle, but he takes shots at everybody. He makes fun of everybody across the spectrum. That's why he's as big as he is. But if you look at the rest of what is touted as comedy, especially on Netflix.
That's the thing, is it's touted as comedy. Nobody really finds it funny.
I agree, but
And that's the problem.
Exactly. I 100% agree with you. That's why I'm saying finding these comedians who can be free of it. Unfortunately, and this is, I don't want to go too dark with it, but unfortunately, we lost a lot of them, the old school comedians, in like the last year.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself, Dave. You're like the last one around there.
There's a lot of
And Bill
people
Burr, take
who
care of
have-
yourself. I'm actually going to show this chart from a little bit farther down. It's the Netflix subscribers per quarter. So you see, and granted, a little bit of what you said, I think that they rose so high during the coof because, of course, everybody was inside, and so everybody was watching Netflix, that they weren't ready for everybody going, oh my God, I just want to get outside. I've seen everything on Netflix. Let's go. Because you see it go from 15.77 million in 2020 quarter one, just tanking. And then boom, 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 boom. And then look at this. This goes back to what we were talking about. Paid subscriber growth. 2014, you see they were just at about 7 million. By 2020, they were up about 35 million. And then 2021, look at that. Boom! Right back down to just over 5. Look at that level of growth over the course of 6 years. And year 7, bam. I mean, I think that the coof went to their head. And they thought they could do whatever they wanted.
They should have prepared for this.
You would think. Maybe they thought we'd never go outside again.
Well, and that's
Granted,
even worse, is that you have somebody running a company based on the idea that everybody's stuck home
Yes.
binge watching shows.
You got to push the agenda.
Yep, they've
So
got to
then,
they've got to push people to stay home and binge watch shows and
Yep.
be less productive. There's only so much our economy can take of being less productive.
Absolutely.
A lot of people have dealt with this and treated it like, okay, it was a rest, it was a respite, it was people, hunkering down. Now people need to get back out and get productive.
Oh, we needed to get back out and get productive. Like, I don't know, somewhere around 2 weeks after, because we were only supposed to stop for 2 weeks. It's been 2 years.
No matter, okay.
Yeah, I know. All that's in the past. It
Yes.
doesn't matter. The point is, you're right. At this point, people need to get off their butts and get out. Of course, it doesn't help that Netflix's original response was blaming password sharing, and they said, we're going to start charging you an extra $3 for every account you have, and all these just nonsense that made people go, dude, you already hiked the prices multiple times. You've announced another price hike. When we first signed up for Netflix, it was $10 a month.
Yeah.
When we canceled, it was like 20. It was literally it doubled in price. And at that point, I went, nah.
And it's because they're sinking a bunch of money into content creation versus relying on a sustainable, this is how much we have subscribers for.
Oh, absolutely. And it, of course, doesn't help when they, it's a meme at this point. But for some reason, they only will, even no matter how popular a show is, it'll at most get 2, maybe 3 seasons, but then they'll immediately cancel it. No matter how popular the show is, it's like you get to the end of season 2, and even if it ends on a like a climax or some kind of anything like that, or a cliffhanger is the word I'm looking for, then it doesn't matter. Cancel it, move on. People who, what's the show we were going to get into? It was the Drew Barrymore zombie one. I think it's called Santa Clarita Diet. People talk about it being amazing, but then you always see people complaining about at the end of whatever the last season was, 2 or 3, it ends on a cliffhanger. Great show, apparently, and they just canceled it because it was too expensive to continue or something. Some reason, who knows what, but it's like, at that point, as a subscriber, if you and I know, well, there's an okay show, but it gets cut prematurely, doesn't end properly. Do you really want to invest 3 seasons of time into that?
I mean,
you don't. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. But, that we can blame as much as we want, but, who has his own theory as to what's going on here? From the Daily Wire. Ooh, the man himself. Tuned out. Netflix shares plunge as subscribers flee. Elon Musk blames, quote, the woke mind virus. Elon Musk pinned a drop in Netflix's share prices on the woke mind virus, which makes the streaming service unwatchable on Tuesday night. Of course, we know they lost 200,000 subscribers. Their stocks are down. Replying to a Slashdot report about Netflix's woes posted to Twitter, Musk commented that the woke mind virus is making Netflix unwatchable. When machine learning engineer Pranay Pathole in turn argued that woke mind virus is the biggest threat to civilization, Musk replied with a simple yes. And I mean, they go on to it a little bit more, talking about critical race theory, all that stuff. And I mean, we already know, like, look at that. They're referencing, they began creating a show, Netflix began creating a show about the life of Colin Kaepernick. Like, no one wants to watch this garbage. We want to be entertained. If we want to watch, no, I'm not even going to say that. No one wants to watch Colin Kaepernick.
Well, and that's why he
hasn't been signed back up. Yeah. He can complain as much as he wants, but if he were talented, he'd be on a team, because that's all they care about. I mean, dude, I may not be a sport ball master, but that makes me a sport ball master because I can look at the game completely free of bias and say, if you are talented, they'll get you on the field.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a drama queen and tank their shares and make everybody hate each other in their sport, they don't want you.
Yes.
But really, it comes down to talent.
Well, and this is exactly the same thing that's happening with Netflix.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the same thing that's happening with Disney. I mean,
it's across the board.
If there were feel-good things coming out of Disney that we were like, yes, I cannot not watch this. When we got completely engrossed in the Marvel universe.
Or even The Mandalorian's a good example.
Or The Mandalorian was
when they launched it, it was great. I was like, okay, this justifies it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens with every studio, and it happens with every, like, Grey's Anatomy. I watched that show for how long? I mean, it's been on for what, like 17 years or something?
I don't know. I don't understand how that show's still on, but soap operas are still on, so I'm just not meant to understand. I'm not the demographic.
Well, and there is a demographic.
Exactly.
Like, as long as there's a demographic willing to pay for it, it will exist.
Yes.
Which is why I don't care if they produce this other content.
Of course.
I'm not going to buy it because I'm not their demographic.
Yep.
I'm not the person who's looking for it.
Yep.
If there's enough support, then it has standalone support and it'll make it. That's how our economy works.
That is how capitalism in a nutshell works. And apparently these companies either forgot that or just took it for granted for too long. They thought they were unsinkable.
No, they thought that if they mixed politics into it, they could get government funding. So essentially, instead of
communism
earning people's money because of great content,
right,
they want to steal people's money because they're preaching at them.
To fund terrible content.
To fund terrible content.
Well, oh boy, it's interesting to see. We will continue watching this as it unfolds. Oh boy, I mean, all you can really say is, at the end of the day, I mean, if you're gonna go woke, it's safe to say you will get broke at some point.
Somebody's going to release something that we as conservatives, we as Christians, we as, certain demographics and populations who've walked away from these other things, will latch onto, will put our money towards, will support.
Well, I mean, it's like Jeremy Boring of the Daily Wire in that Harry's Razor parody thing where he said, don't give your money to people that don't like you. Give it to me instead. He's like, I will work for you because that's what your money is supposed to do.
Yes.
I mean, that commercial was brilliant. And it really just comes down to it. Don't give these people your money. You vote with your wallet. You move on. I know it can be tough, but hey, it's a beautiful world out there. It existed before Netflix. It exists after Netflix.
Yes. Well, and I believe I commented on one of Ben Shapiro's tweets, and I said, I believe there's an opening for children's programming.
Oh, they're well aware. The Daily Wire, actually, it was Jeremy Boring again. He came out when Disney was making this fuss, and he said, hey, we'll make children's programming, and they are. He said, if you want to be able, you should be able to put a show on for your kid while you're making a meal or something, and not have to worry about them getting preached at.
Yep.
So I'm all for it. Daily Wire, you got my support, man.
Yep. Looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll be putting out some stuff as well. That
Absolutely. Will be... Oh, there's a little reminder for the like and subscribe. You got anything else for this story, Missy?
No, I think that's it. I'm just looking forward to see some of these big woke corporations go down.
Yeah. Let's cheer it on. Let's vote with our wallets, people, and we will talk to everybody later.